Games based on anime may not have the greatest track record when viewed as a whole, but if you look past the stacks of samey arena fighters and pools of shallow action games, you'll see a bunch of gems that successfully translate over the magic of anime or manga into video game form. These are our picks for the top 10 video game anime adaptations. Attack on Titan 2 lets us play as a custom character joining the canon cast of Attack on Titan in their ongoing fight against the fearsome beasts. Attack on Titan 2 takes the base of the first game, quite literally as it features some of the same cutscenes and missions, but builds on the story in an interesting way. It may not be the most beautiful game, but it sure is a fun way to revisit the Attack on Titan story and lend a hand in slaying the massive creatures in the series. The DS was a surprisingly solid handheld for fighting games, and even though you might not expect it, Bleach DS was one of the best ones. Bleach is tailor-made for a 2D fighting game, as each character has their own unique weapon, each weapon has a super powerful Bankai form, and fights move at a blisteringly fast pace. True to the series, characters in Bleach DS have quick Shunpo dashes that allow them to close the distance extremely quickly and lead to super cool combos. Some characters have transformative Bankais that make them even more badass, and on top of that, its detailed sprites do the show justice even on the DS's small screen. Also, worth pointing out that the DS stands for Dark Souls. And while it obviously has no relation to that Dark Souls, it is technically accurate to say that Bleach DS is the Dark Souls of fighting games. What? Come on, it's true! The Jojo's Bizarre Adventure manga series has been around since the 80s, but had not reached peak popularity in the US until the anime adaptation that started in 2012. However, 14 years before that, arcade players and Dreamcast owners got a taste of Jojo in the fighting game simply called Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Made by Capcom, it ran on the same graphics engine as Street Fighter III and featured a completely new and innovative combat system. The hook in Jojo's Bizarre Adventure were stands, cosmic/spiritual beings that were integrated into the fighter's moveset, but were also able to be summoned as a separate entity. The whole package was made even more enticing by the several original artworks made by the creator of the manga, Hirohiko Araki. While there have been many JoJo games since this one, this game is still one of the best when it comes to style. When people talk about mecha, Gundam is usually the first thing that comes to their mind. Gundam has a storied history in games, going all the way back to the 80s on consoles that predate the NES. In the early 2000s, however, Gundam games reached new heights with the start of the Gundam Versus series. Gundam Versus games consist of 2v2 battles in a fighting game combat system similar to the Virtual On series. The games have had many iterations, and one of the best was Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme vs. Maxi Boost On, released on the PS4 in 2020. In Maxi Boost On, you have a massive volume of Gundams to choose from across 5 decades of anime and manga. While the game has a bare bones and satisfactory story mode, its multiplayer is where it's at, which features fast-paced action that has you constantly dashing, jumping, and dodging your opponent's attacks while attempting to attack them yourself. The simple yet deep combat system is why this series has lived on 20 years after it started. Developer Omega Force has given the Musou treatment to a number of anime properties, but none have fit more snugly within the genre as One Piece Pirate Warriors, and Pirate Warriors 4 is the latest and greatest in the franchise. It would make this list for the fun core gameplay alone, which sees you wailing on literally thousands of enemies with iconic characters and special moves from the series. However, it's also a surprisingly robust retelling of most of the major arcs in One Piece. And while it's hard to recommend as a substitute for watching all 900 plus episodes or reading 1,000 chapters of manga, it at least allows you to relive many key moments in video game form. Back in the early 2000s, street racing started gaining mainstream attention thanks to the first Fast and Furious movie and the Initial D anime. A couple of years later, we got the first Initial D arcade stage cabinets around the world. Using a physical card system, players save their progress and, more importantly, their customized car to race with other players in person. In addition to some story elements from the Initial D series, Arcade Stage 8 Infinity's music includes the always catchy Eurobeat soundtrack that the anime is well known for and still gets used in memes today. Little references to the source material in the courses and the cars themselves show how much Sega has put into the arcade experience. Initial D Arcade Stage 8 Infinity shows just how far the arcade series has evolved over the years. Astro Boy is one of the classic anime franchises created by the godfather of manga, Osamu Tezuka. When the 2003 anime reboot came out, there were 2 games made as tie-ins, one for the PS2 and one for the GBA. The superior of the two is the GBA game Astro Boy Omega Factor, which was a love letter not just to Astro Boy, but many of Tezuka's other works as well. Omega Factor had a beat-em-up plus shoot-em-up factor that echoes the combat of the Mega Man Zero franchises, while tying to the shoot-em-up legacy of treasure titles like Radiant Silvergun and Ikaruga. And the story is a mashup of some of the 2003 anime story, some manga plotlines, and all new tales. It's also strongly encouraged to play through more than once in order to see its true ending. One of the biggest crying shames in the world of anime and manga video games is that neither Jump Superstars nor its superior sequel, Jump Ultimate Stars, ever made it outside Japan's borders. It's an anime fan's dream game, the likes of which we still haven't seen since, even though games like Jump Force and J-Star's Victory Versus have tried. In 2006, Jump Ultimate Stars brought together characters from 41 different Shonen Jump mangas in a Smash Bros.-esque party fighter for the DS, featuring 56 playable characters, though many characters were just slightly different variations of themselves. Players would construct a deck of manga panels that would represent a combination of playable characters, assist characters, and support characters, leading to crazy amounts of customization. On top of that, it had a great single-player campaign that constantly rewarded you with new characters to add to your deck. It also featured online play, and a combat system that did a wonderful job of bringing each character's special moves to life. The Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series is one of the best arena fighters around, and Ninja Storm 4, along with its added expansion Road to Boruto, is a culmination of the entire game series, as well as Naruto's storyline, in one game. It features over 100 characters to choose from, and that's not even counting the multiple iterations of some characters, and its gameplay is extremely accessible, which makes for an excellent competitive scene. There have been many anime arena fighters, but nothing really comes close to what CyberConnect 2 has achieved with Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. It should be no shocker that DragonBall FighterZ tops this list of the best anime to video game adaptations, as it really checks all the boxes of what a video game adaptation of anime should be. Mimics the look of the show? Check. Adapts the essence of what makes the show special in video game form? Check. Gameplay that provides enough depth to sustain a fan's attention beyond just the initial appeal? Check. But then FighterZ goes beyond that with a fighting system that feels truly unique in a crowded space of 2D fighters. Its pace is lightning fast, thanks to a universal super dash mechanic that allows any character to close the distance in a flash, along with a vanish attack that lets players instantly teleport behind their opponent to either continue a combo or catch their opponent off guard, in typical Dragon Ball Z fashion. In the years since its release, FighterZ has only improved, with a ton of interesting DLC characters, smart gameplay tweaks, and the addition of a dojo to better help players understand its depth. It's not perfect, but it still stands as the best blueprint of success for video game anime adaptations. And that's our list. And you know what? This actually wasn't super easy to cull to just 10 picks. More recent games like Kill la Kill If were discussed, along with classics like the Dragon Ball Z Budokai and Tenkaichi games. But ultimately, this was where we landed. What are some of your favorites? Let us know in the comments, and for more anime, make sure to check out our picks for the top 10 anime of all time. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN.
Flow freely. Please protect the plants, the animals. Protect this world I love.
You've prattled on long enough, you miserable failure.